Okay, fantastic. Thank you all today for joining us for our December workshop on how to host a Wassail event in your orchard to engage community during the wintertime. My name is Ryan Watson. I'm the National Orchard Operations and Education Manager for the Giving Grove. I'm based here in the Catskills in New York, joined here today by my colleague Matt Bunch at KCCG and Belinda Dillon as well, who have a wealth of experience on the ground hosting Wassail events throughout the season, or throughout the years, I should say, throughout the seasons. And today we're gonna get started here with a little bit of an overview of what we'll be covering today. So, first, we're going to start with a little bit of the context of the history of where Wassail comes from. That's going to give us some idea of kind of the types of community engaging activities that we can do. We'll go through some of those best practices about how to engage your community during this wintertime event. We'll then pass it over to Matt and Melinda, who are going to show you some of these case studies and some of their best practices that have worked in the Kansas City Community Gardens program. We'll then spend a little bit of time going through a worksheet to um, plan your own community wassail. Um, And then from there, we'll go over resources that are available to you. And if we have a little bit of extra time, we'll engage in some trivia to be able to cover some of those topics that we went over. So I'll be dropping some little factoids in the presentation as we go through. So keep an ear out for those, and we'll have those at the end in our trivia section. So, all right, fantastic. So, uh, a little bit about the history of the wassail. So this is kind of give us a lot of context for what it is that we're doing and where these traditions come from. So if you want to think back to the history of the wassail, we really need to go back into old medieval times. We need to go back, back to when we're thinking about this world of wood nymphs and fairies, the spirit of nature. It's sort of difficult to pinpoint the origins of the wassail, but we pinpoint it back to southwestern England as a midwinter orchard blessing ceremony. And over the years, this tradition has evolved and has blended with a lot of these Christmas traditions. So if you go back, and I'd love to have folks put in the chat if you know which one is the first that arrived in England. Would that be the apple, or would that be the Christianity and the Christmas ceremony? So if you have an idea about that, please throw that in the chat. So going back to this origin story of wassail, coming back to ancient times, when the goddess of Pomona in the Roman Empire was set to bless the apple trees for the year ahead. Apples were introduced in the first century, around the first century, into England before Christianity. So these histories have an interblended relationship and have evolved together over time. The meaning of wassail meant to be well, to be whole, to good health. It was used as a cheersing ceremony and came from Old Norse. If you think back to these eras, apples played a really central role in people's lifestyles. This was an era in which most people were peasant farmers, and there is also an element of class that plays into this ceremony as well that has developed over the history of time, that has evolved to coincide with the 12th night of Christmas. So this was had a tradition that combined with Christmas caroling, going door to door. And if you think about this time of season, we're a few months after the apple harvest has come in. Cider is fermenting in the barns, and this is a time in which these peasant farmers would come to their wealthy landowners and ask for a taste of cider, sort of like today's modern trick-or-treating sort of ceremonies. And this is the first to arrive would be the first to get the best cider. And so this is where a lot of this tradition of procession, as well as making a lot of noise, is part of this history as well. The purpose here is to scare the trees, to scare away or to wake the trees up, to scare away the bad spirits, to encourage a beneficial harvest in the season to come. So you'll see banging pots and pans, singing songs. These are really popular traditions that we are going to be doing in our Wassail tradition, as well as this idea of toasting to the trees. So one of the things that we do in our Wassail ceremony, as I had said, that term wassail is used as a cheers. So we are drinking cider, particularly spiced cider, and we'll have a recipe for you that we can send out as well for making that. Setting good intentions for this year to come. This can involve hanging toast on the trees. Can involve also making ribbons with intentions that are posted on the trees. Um,
Very
and these ceremonies can be variously adapted to match the community within
good.
your orchard space. So really, these can be crafted to do kind of what it is that you are aiming to achieve to do, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later here in this presentation.
You're so Rachel. I married my mother.
So here's a couple of photos representing this procession that has occurred throughout history. So really has a really deep history coming through the times of King Arthur, when we have the island of Avalon, which is the Isle of Apples. This is in the 5th and 6th century. So we would think back that, this is about the time when Christianity is starting to be introduced. So there is a big overlap between this history of apples and the history of the wassail tradition throughout the season. And also, if you think about what we're doing in the orchard this time of season, it can be a low light time of season. There's not much engagement, not a lot of community connectivity going on, except for, maybe if we're out pruning. This is an opportunity to be able to all join together to wish each other well, literally wassail to be well, and to burn some of those orchard prunings to be able to have a good season ahead. So a couple of things that we think that are good practices for engaging your community in the Wassail event. Always really good to have someone who is there to welcome and orient folks, give them a place around the fire, some warm drinks, a place to set their intentions for the event. Some of these preparations also involve choosing a representative tree. Like, what is your main tree that you're going to bless in your orchard, that you will move in a procession around, singing some of these songs, and some of these poems that can be read as well in the orchard. This idea of the procession, so scaring away spirits to wish a good harvest for the season ahead. Wind instruments work, pots and pans, bells, all those sorts of things, as well as having a toast. So the celebratory aspect of our orchard is always at a central point when we're talking about our wassail tradition. And this idea as well of decorating the trees, hanging yarn, hanging ribbons with good wishes, paper wishes for the year ahead. As I said, there is a coinciding of the 12th night of Christmas with this wassail tradition. So lots of well-wishing and thinking about the good years, the good times for the year ahead, as well as this warm gathering, providing a space for the community to gather and think about those things and connect with one another. And here I can pass it over to Matt.
Yeah, a little bit about this is also setting the mood, and when we have done this here at our demonstration orchard here at Kansas City Community Gardens, we have it in the early evening. We set it around dusk, so it starts out light, and then we fall into darkness, and it's a chance to see the fire, be warmed by the fire and you see there that's our dwarf mulberry, which is quite picturesque in the wintertime. And so we last year anointed it with the Wassail candles. So it is all about setting that mood, uh, creating the atmosphere for the celebration.
And here we see one of these celebratory activities that we can do, toasting to the trees. Um, a really fun way to get kids involved in the orchard and in this celebration during the winter time as well.
Yes, this is the literal and figurative toast, and yeah, I think people get a kick out of this. The other thing that's really great about the toast in the trees is toast brings birds. And so you bring the birds in, and the birds, they also spend a little time doing pest management too, as they're pecking around at the bread, crumbs fall on the ground. The birds then go and scratch around for the crumbs, and well, maybe they'll pull out a codling moth pupa. So there is a little pest management IPM aspect to this.
And we take our toast and dip it the corner into the cider, and then we hang it on the tree. And I like how you did this. We usually will punch a hole and put twine through all the toast and hang it with the twine, but this seems like less material and easier. And then also I've read that you can splash cider on the base of the tree to toast the tree as well.
And these are going back to these long-standing traditions of inviting in community, I think, as Matt is sharing as well. Bringing in the bird population is also part of that. And if we're really thinking about ensuring a good harvest in the future, this idea of the birds contributing to our pest management in the wintertime by inviting them in with the toast is certainly relevant here. So. As well as singing Wassail songs. So you'll see that a lot of the traditional Christmas songs will have a reference here to the wassailing tradition. It is a way to kind of cap off the end of the Christmas season. And let's see if this video is going to work here. Here is a video from the first Gibbon Grove orchard showing the Hail Cook pots and pans procession. This is from a Sunday, a cloudy Sunday in January, but you see there's quite a lot of folks there engaged in this wassail event.
Oh, the video is not working.
Oh, is it not working? Oh, shoot.
Bummer.
Oh no. Okay, well.
Well, imagine a lot of children moving around making noise. We'll see if this video will work.
Let's see if this one works. I can switch it here.
We may have overloaded the system. See, everybody's animated. There was a poem being read. People are shouting huzzah. Well, shoot.
Well,
Well, a little bit more about that. So that last video was from our Wassail event this past winter here at the community gardens, and so we opened that up to not only orchard stewards but to just friends of Kansas City Community Gardens. And so we had a nice we had some soup, some chili, and then we walked out into the orchard and read poems, chanted, and did the whole event there. We also our grant writer, major gifts development person, he also happens to be a trombonist. And so he brought his trombone, and it was luckily warm enough. If you play any sort of wind instrument, it might be a little cold to be playing a wind instrument in January outdoors, but it was a warm enough evening. And so that contributed to the ambiance, that blast from the trombone as we're all saying huzzah at the end of the couplets. Yeah, a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah, it was a really beautiful evening, and we couldn't find pictures of this, but we had ice lanterns lining the pathway. So something to keep in mind is that it'll be dark and people need to know where to step. You could also line it with Christmas lights or with tiki torches, but having that nice glow, warm feeling is important.
and here we have a little bit of that poem, and we'll send out some resources to folks afterwards as a follow-up so that you have some of these to distribute amongst your community. So as well as contributing to a beneficial harvest for the season, this is a great opportunity, the Wassail event, to burn some of the branches that you may have pruned out during your season, depending upon kind of how your pruning season falls and where you are in the country. This can be a good way to remove that pest and disease that may be in place in the orchard. Perhaps you have some fire blight or something that hit earlier in that season, some brown rot. Really, one of the best ways to prevent that from happening is to take that out of the orchard, to burn that material so that it doesn't reinfect the trees in the season. It also just gives a really festive way for a place for people to gather and to be able to connect together as a community. And here just we compiled some of these best practices that are important for planning your Wassail event. Really, we want to make sure that this is a welcoming and inclusive event for your community, making simple songs, giving out flyers or worksheets that have those lyrics on them, thinking about planning these activities for a variety of different ages so it's fun for parents and kids alike. Really thinking about the weather in your region, providing a place. This is also just part of that tradition, is providing a warm space, warm drinks, giving people some insight into what the weather is looking like in the weeks coming up to your Wassail event. Thinking about creating a clear ritual flow. So trying to make that procession, have that welcome, your song, the noise, your toast, and decoration time, depending on how cold it is, you can stretch these out however it works for you. Having that main tree that we're centraling that procession around, as Matt said, inviting community talent, as well as Melinda saying, really engaging with our community, splashing that cider at the base of the tree, using those low-cost materials, things like ribbon, things that you can recycle, having people bring their own mugs. Seeing to connect this as a larger community event is always a great goal to have in this time. It's a great period for us to really connect as a community when we're tend to be trapped inside for a lot of the time. Thinking about safety, as Melinda was saying, making sure that you have good lighting, utilizing those Christmas lights, those lanterns, to be able to have the appropriate adult supervision as well. And then as well is making that sure that you have some time to connect, to socialize with folks in your community. Also, just a couple of things to think about when you're scheduling. So, Sundays in January tend to work well for most folks. One note that I did have from Sarah at Hale Cook from our first orchard was to be cognizant of when the Chiefs game is scheduled and to make sure that you might not have an overlap in your timing there. Also, sending out some reminders beforehand, providing some of these kits for folks, clearing the snow from the gathering area if you have snow in your area, in your orchard, and then encouraging those newcomers to come and be welcomed by the fire, to get some warm cider, to have those activities varied by age. And here we have a photo from the Hale Cook Orchard, one of the first orchards in the Giving Grove network. Actually, I think the first one, and this is from Sarah, that the Wassail tradition has become her favorite tradition, even though she does not like being out in the cold. So. Uh, and as well, another member from our community who's joining us as well, if you wanted to share a little bit more about some of the traditions that you do in your Decatur Cemetery Orchard Wassail event.
Well, this is our first one. So we're starting fresh. The good thing that we do have is we have a choir coming. I asked a local choir director if he would lead the singing because that's not something that I'm gifted at. And he said, well, I can, but do you mind if I bring 20 people along with me? And I said, yes, that would be great. So what I'm looking for from this group, if y'all have sheet music for any of the songs, especially the Carhampton song, "The Old Apple Tree We Wassail Thee." That's it's a nice song, and I would love to find the sheet music if anybody has that.
We'll have to, I will make a note and check to see if we can get that for you.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
But what a fantastic way to engage a choir in your community and really engage a larger audience as well. I mean, literally, you're going to have a bigger group singing and joining with you, which what a fantastic way to tap off the season or, cap off and start off the next season.
We
So
do
we're
have some limitations. We can't be there in the dark because we're closed at night. So the choir is a daytime choir. It's a choir of people that don't drive at night mostly. So it works out for we won't have the beautiful lights and fire, but we will still be singing and making a joyous noise around our orchard.
That's fantastic, and I'm sure that the cemetery will provide a really beautiful backdrop for that event. So
We do have
definitely
that.
let us know, share pictures with us. We'd love to see how everything
Will
goes.
do.
Thank you so much for sharing.
I'm not sure what we do have some sheet music, but I don't believe we have that in the Wassail kit that we have with our Kansas City Community Gardens Wassail kit. So I think we'll share all of that in the chat.
Great.
So there is some sheet music, but I don't think that
It's
particular tune.
it's Here We Come at Wassailing,
Is that it?
and it's the guitar chords for it.
Okay.
They've got that one. I was thinking any any apple tree songs might work, as well as traditional holiday songs.
Yeah, you can go online and find the sheet music pretty easily. You might, usually they give you like a free trial, to get it, and then if you want to keep it or lose it, you can.
All right, and I'm gonna pass it over to Matt and Melinda here to go over some of their orders of ceremony and how they run their KCCG event.
Yeah. So this is something we've been doing for I forget how many years in a row. We haven't had it every year because in some years it might be 5 degrees with a 30-mile-an-hour north wind, so we just have to cancel that. That's it's not it's not worth the risk. Um, but here, for the past couple of years, we've created this event, and we kind of go outside of the traditional Wassail parameter date, which is, I believe, January 6th is sort of at the latest date. But we pick an evening in January, typically a Friday evening, in which we know people don't have to get up early in the morning. It's a time where they're getting off work. They're ready to sort of start celebrating the weekend. They can relax a little bit. So we've held this mid to late January the past couple of years, and we've also tried to center this around a new moon. And the reason being there is we reached out to amateur astronomer who has a rather large telescope, and so he would bring that out too in conjunction with our Wassail event, so people would have a chance to, even in the city, observe some of these, not only the planets in alignment, but some of the nebulae and the stars. So, as you see, this is just kind of our run of show a little bit. It's not doesn't list all of the things that we do, but we do have this telescope, and the astronomer. He comes out, we get him set up. We set out these ice lanterns, and if you're not familiar with ice lanterns, and I'm really ashamed that we did not get any photos of these things, because basically these are, it is frozen ice, and you have a cavity to set a candle in the middle. You can create these in 2-gallon buckets. You can create them with a balloon in a water balloon, and you freeze that and create the cavity. So for those of us who have those cold winter nights, those below freezing days, these will keep for a long time. So we set those out. Um, we set the candles in the tree. And that's always been one of those things where, what tree are we going to select? Because it's always nice to have that one select tree that we gather around, even though we're going to be blessing all of the trees. So then, as you know, guests arrive, we greet them. We have our nice little eat, drink, and mingle. All of these stewards are able to gather, and they'll talk about their orchard, or they'll talk about, oh, I haven't seen you in a few years, etc. So it's a good chance for people to get to know each other. Uh, because here at the community gardens, we also are very vegetable oriented too. We bless the seeds for the upcoming year. So by this time, we've already probably gotten in most of our seed stock. And so it just offers up a good blessing for a good growing season.
Another nice thing
Well,
about this list and the way that we used it is each one of these numbers, somebody would put their initials from our core team next to it so we know who's doing which task, and we can line that up so it runs very smoothly.
Yeah, exactly. I kept people's names off this list, but yeah, that's exactly what we do is we kind of, yeah, it's that run of show, and we normally have 4 or 5 people that are kind of tasked throughout that run of show. Uh, so so we talk about, just as we did in this presentation, sort of the history of the Old English tradition of wassailing. We then we go out and we grab noisemakers and walk to the orchard, and so that's sort of a fun procession. It's very family friendly. You have 3-year-olds and you have 90-year-olds out there doing all of this. So then we gather around the fire, we sing a song, we sound, and then we read the orchard blessing, and then we hang the toast on the trees, and people will gather around a certain tree. They'll take toast. That is a big thing. Make sure you toast your bread in advance. Don't be caught off guard uh, with soggy bread. And so just make sure you pad a little bit of time to do that. Over the years, we've like, oh, crud, we've forgotten to toast the bread, and so we're toasting bread at 4:45. So, um, but yeah, then once that's done, we're creating more noise to ward off the evil spirits. And when we say evil spirits in the orchard, we oftentimes we're talking about the codling moths, we're talking about the oriental fruit moths, we're talking about the peach tree borers, all of those things that cause problems with our trees, that cause problems with our harvest. So there's sort of this playfulness in the warding off of the evil spirits. Um,
And Matt's
and
pretty good about bringing noisemakers. That's something you might want to consider. You can ask people to bring noisemakers, but a lot of people won't, and it's just more, they feel like they're participating more if they have something in their hand making noise. So,
Yeah, I mean this could just be 2 metal dowels that make a clang 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 sound. So be as inventive and original as you want to be with this. So every year I will sort of create a toast to the trees, and over the years, kind of created a few. They're just rhyming couplets, all about your pears and your peaches and your apples. So be inventive with that as well. We will share some of that in our Wassail kit. Read a traditional poem. We also like to conclude by reading advice from a tree. And so that's more or less how our ceremony goes. Like I say, the stargazing has been kind of a nice element to that because it just adds a celestial being and a different tenor to the event. So.
Yeah, and I th thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's really a great expression to see how it is you can engage with these different communities throughout the winter time. I think being able to reach out to musicians, as Rhonda showed, speaking with a choir, working with local businesses for donations or coordination on some of this stuff is really a great way to engage your community. And as both Melinda and Matt showed, some of these things require some preparation. And some materials to put together. One of the expressions of that material is the Wassail kit. Matt, Melinda, you want to tell a
yeah,
little bit
the
more about?
party and the peck, and actually, I'll share the link to this document. It's kind of what we follow. And I think, Sarah, did you create this with my predecessor? I feel like maybe Sarah and Mary Jane created it, but it has like everything that's in the kit. It has invitations that you can hand out. It has all the songs and poems, recipe for Wassail. And we also had mulled wine as well as hot cider at our Wassail event, and then having the option to spike it if you wanted to, and that could be done. Oh, Mary Jane did it. Okay. Um, and that can be done with whiskey or rum, or I believe we used vodka last year. Um, but yeah, it's a really great guide on how to plan and organize a wassail.
All right. Well, so now we are reaching the point where we're going to ask you to spend a little bit of time thinking about what you're going to need to prepare for your wassail. I'm going to drop in the chat here a link to a document, and what we're going to ask you to do is make a copy of that document for yourself so we don't all end up working on that same document. So you can make a copy of that document. I can also drop this in the chat for those of us who do not use Google Docs. Um, so I want to spend about 10 minutes here going through each individually, and I'm going to play some Christmas music in the background here as we get going. What it is that you're going to need to prepare for your wassail event. What types of preparation are you going to need? When are you going to plan it? Who is your community that you're aiming to attract? What types of contributors would you like to include? How many printouts do you need? What's your kind of game plan? So I'm going to play some Christmas music. We're going to come back here at 10 to the hour at 1:50 or 2:50 Eastern Time, and we'll come back and share some of what we put together. Okay, and just wanted to check in. Does anybody need a little more time to finish up? Feel free to throw in the chat if you'd like a couple more minutes. All right, does anybody want to share any hangups come up, any good ideas about including members of your community that you wanted to share, any best practices that anyone has come across in their Wassail tradition that they wanted to share with the group?
Yeah, Ryan, I love the bullet point, have a sign up for future events. That's really good. Because
Yeah,
we're forming some volunteer group that would be trained to go to different orchards and prune. So that would be a good opportunity to get a sign up for that or for any of our plant sales or volunteer days. So that's a really good idea.
absolutely. I mean, I think, one of the most difficult things, especially in this winter season, is getting folks out and engaged in the orchard space and in their community. And so, if we can find that overlap in these events, it's always a uh, great way to outreach. Anybody else have thoughts about outreach with the community? It seemed to be letting me move forward here.
This was just the thought I had right now. I think I'm going to write it down, but our orchards are all in public spaces, and I realize if from one day to the next the trees are full of bread, walker-bys might be like, "What happened? What happened here?" So I think I'd want to put up a sign after the event explaining what happened, so that people don't go about like cleaning it all up and throwing out the bread or something.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, we always encourage signage in the orchard space. It helps to kind of explain some of those instances in which things need a little bit of explaining. I mean, particularly like with native plantings and things like that, to kind of understand that this is an ecological space. I think very similarly, this idea of the toasting to the trees can be also a way to engage your community in understanding a little bit more about this space, what's going on there, having those outside as
Yeah, and
well.
it's an opportunity to invite people to the next one.
Uh,
Exactly.
I will tell you that so we did this on a Friday, and the toast was all gone come Monday. So the birds came and they ate the toast. So it will not be on there for very long, but yeah, there you may need to have just a little 8.5 by 11. Wassailing happened here. So yeah, interpretive signs.
Yeah, because the birds are definitely known for telling their friends when there's food in the orchard. That is
Yeah,
something that
for
we learned
sure.
with the crows the hard way this year. So,
Speaking of toasts, I dropped a PDF in the chat. Hopefully, you all can see that. Just a little bit of cheeky rhyming couplets to go with these various fruits or the whole orchard that you may wish to toast.
and with that, I'm going to see if we have any other questions or comments for uh, Belinda, Matt, myself. Also, we encourage you as well, and I'm going to drop this in the chat to please take our survey. It's helpful for us in making sure we're covering the things that you want us to cover. Um, grab that. So,
Ryan, could you put that last slide up again? I didn't quite get the QR code.
absolutely. Yeah. Let me put it in the. And we can send out those resources to you, some of those toasts that Matt had put together, kind of that run of show, um, an idea of the things that you should be thinking about as you put together your checklist. Um, and if we have any other questions with that, we can finish up with a little bit of trivia about wassailing. If you want to engage, first to put the answer in the chat is the winner. So the wassail celebration is traditionally associated with which Christmas time event? Hey, Noah got it there. The 12th night, way to close out the Christmas celebration. We spoke about the cheersing of the trees and the toasting of the wassail. What is it that wassail means? Be well, Rhonda. Yes. Georgia showing up there. Fantastic. And a bonus question. The origins of that phrase, be well, wassail, what cultural origins is that coming from, that saying? All right, and that one was going to be from the Old Norse, is where that comes from. And I have one more here to close it out. The mentioned the association of apples with King Arthur and the birthplace of Excalibur. What was the name of the island King Arthur was from? Also known as the Isle of Apples. Rhonda there again, the Isle of Avalon, showing that long-standing historical overlap between the Celtic uh, historical traditions and these wassail celebrations. We really thank you so much for joining us. This is our last workshop for the 2025 season. We'll be back next month with a whole new workshop series calendar, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much to Matt and Melinda for sharing all their wisdom about the wassail. Do you guys have anything you wanted to add?
Huzzah.
Huzzah. Be well in 2026.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. With that, we wish you all a pleasant holiday season. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that this is helpful for you to doing your own wassail celebration in your winter time. And we'll see you next year. Thank you so much.
Thank you.